In the shadow of the Second World War's aftermath, the Korean Peninsula was split into two: the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north, led by Kim Il-sung with the backing of Stalin, and the Republic of Korea in the south, supported by the United States and President Syngman Rhee. This division marked the beginning of a conflict that would escalate into the Korean War, a war often dubbed the Forgotten War. But why did Stalin and the US get involved in the Korean War, and how did it shape the course of history? Let's dive into this intriguing and often overlooked chapter of the Cold War. To understand the roots of the Korean War, we need to journey back to the early 20th century. Korea, once an independent kingdom, fell under Japanese occupation in 1910. This oppressive rule persisted until the end of World War II in 1945. After the defeat of Japan, Korea was divided, much like Germany. The Soviet Union occupied the north, and the United States held the south. The division was marked by the infamous 38th parallel. Tensions between the two Koreas mounted, and in 1948, the US announced a general election in the south under UN auspices. Stalin, however, refused to cooperate and turned to Kim Il-sung, a former communist guerrilla, making him president of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. In the south, the Republic of Korea was established, with Syngman Rhee as its first president, backed by the United States. The Soviets withdrew their troops from the north in 1948, and the Americans left the south in 1949. But Kim Il-sung and Stalin were not content to let matters rest. They believed that the Americans wouldn't come back. So, Kim went to Moscow to discuss a possible invasion, and both Stalin and Mao in Beijing pledged their support. On June 25, 1950, North Korean troops crossed the 38th parallel, and Joseph Stalin explained it as a defensive move to prevent an imminent attack from the south. The Truman Doctrine called for containment, and on June 27, 1950, President Truman ordered U.S. forces to South Korea. General Douglas MacArthur's troops landed in Incheon, North Korea, in September, pushing the offensive into North Korea. The U.S. was shocked to discover that it was underprepared. The U.S. Navy failed to establish a naval blockade of North Korea due to a lack of warships. In October, China sent its troops to support the North, and the Soviet Air Force joined the effort with Russian MiG-15 pilots. The war escalated, and the Truman administration declared a state of emergency on December 16. It condemned communist imperialism as a threat to democracy, but 4 months of fierce fighting yielded no major battles. The armistice was finally signed on July 27, 1953, drawing a new international border, and the infamous DMZ was established. Yet both sides still see it as a temporary partition. In fact, the United States has never formally recognized North Korea. The Korean War, often overshadowed by other Cold War conflicts, had a profound impact. More than 15 countries fought on the UN side, with over 325,000 Americans participating. Alongside them were over 14,000 British, 8,000 Canadians, and 5,400 Turkish troops. South Korea had 603,000 fighters against 266,000 North Koreans, but the North was supported by a massive force of 1,450,000 Chinese troops, and the Soviets sent 26,000 of their own. As a result, over 2.5 million people lost their lives. By the time the Vietnam War rolled around, the Korean War had become known as the Forgotten War. Yet, its legacy continues to shape the Korean Peninsula today. The division, which started over 7 decades ago, still endures, and tensions persist. The Cold War rivalries that fueled the Korean War laid the foundation for the ongoing North-South conflict. The nuclear ambitions of North Korea remain a major international concern. The Korean War may be the Forgotten War, but its impact on the world cannot be underestimated. It was a clash of ideologies, a proxy war in the larger context of the Cold War, and a testament to the human cost of conflict. Understanding the reasons why Stalin and the US got involved in this war is crucial to comprehending the complex history of the 20th century. As we look back at this chapter of history, we must remember that the echoes of the Korean War still reverberate today, as the Korean Peninsula remains divided, longing for peace and reunification.